All right, welcome into the FNIA podcast. As always, we are presented by Lowe's. Coach Dungy, Rodney Harrison, Jac Collinsworth. Pleasure to be with you, fellas. I want to start with the news this week and that Brian Daboll has been let go from the Giants. Rod, I'll start with you. Your reaction to the news initially when you heard it.
Really wasn't a surprise to me. You kind of look at what the Giants and how they've been playing just fine in different ways to lose. You have to go back to the Denver game when they lost that game, and even last week, losing to the Chicago in those critical moments. I thought that Brian Daboll made a huge mistake with his defensive coordinator Shane Bowen keeping him on the block. Those players on the defensive side, they express frustration, and I just don't think Shane Bowen defensively has done a great job with those guys, Coach.
Yeah. Well, I always wonder, though, what is the point of firing the coach in the middle of the year? Now, if your team has just quit, they're not performing, they're getting blown out week in and week out, and you've got no energy in the building, I understand it. But I don't know what this does. Brian Daboll, Jack mentioned the records. They haven't been great. But the team is playing hard, and I just don't know how it benefits you at this point in the season.
Mm-hmm. So they were 9-7-1. That was his first year in 2022. Sometimes when you come out good and then it goes backwards, I feel like they punish you even more so. Then they were 6-11, then 3-14. They start this year 2-8. I mean, Coach, from your perspective, what do you think the big issues are? I mean, they got talent defensively. That's some young guys in that defensive line that teams, would kill to have guys like that. What do you think the biggest issues are? Why can't they win?
Well, you look at the games this year, and to me, I see two problems. Number one, you go in training camp and you figure out what your team is going to be, and you come out and you decide Russell Wilson's our number one quarterback, Jackson Dart's number two, and Jameis Winston's number three. Well, Rod, we all know how it goes in the regular season now. The first string quarterback gets 80% of the reps, the second team quarterback gets 20%, and the third team quarterback runs the scout team. He runs the other team's plays. Well, now after 4 weeks, you decide, well, maybe our number two quarterback really should be number one. And then you go 4 weeks with Jackson Dart and he gets hurt. And now you say, well, maybe our third quarterback really is our second quarterback. What is going on there? If you don't know your guys and who's good and who isn't, that's a problem. And then defensively, I thought if they got the leads, they had this defense that could rush the passer and they could carry some games at the end, but they've been ahead in games and given up the lead. And, as Rodney said, the defense just has not done the job down the stretch. So that's the two biggest problems I see.
Yeah, I also look at it, Coach, as the Giants as a team. They have a lot of team needs. I mean, I think number one, you start on that offensive line. They need a couple more offensive linemen, but also in the passing games, they just don't have the weapons. And I think they need a running back that's going to be a difference maker. I like Cam Scottaboo. He's tough. He's physical, but a running back that can break 60, 70-yard plays, and you just don't see it from the Giants. Daboll was 11-33. I mean, it's really no hope when you have that type of record. And the players are still playing hard, but you could just see the frustration, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because they look around. They got some guys in the secondary playing well. They got some other really good players, but they just keep falling short. So I can feel the frustration if I'm a Giants defender.
Yeah, and part of the problem is, as Jack mentioned, you start out real well. You make the playoffs, and then it just goes downhill. It seems like every year it's gotten worse. You see players leave the team and go flourish in other places, and it doesn't seem like we're getting better. Now, of course, they've had some injuries. Malik Neighbors' injury definitely hurt them. But as a coach, you've got to be able to counteract that, and you've got to get your team going in the right direction.
And Coach, I think I want to ask you too, if you were the GM, who would hire? If you're the owner, who would you hire if you were the Giants? Who are some of the guys that you would think about?
Well, I always when I talk to owners or general managers, I always say, tell me what you're looking for. What is your formula? And it seems like they've gone into it these last few times. Well, I want somebody to fix the quarterback. Fixing the quarterback doesn't win championships for you. You've got to get somebody who has a vision that matches what you want to be. I always go back to Dan Rooney, my boss with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Dan always used to say, I know what we are. We're a blue-collar city. We play in cold weather. So I want a defensive coach, defensive-minded coach. I want a young guy because I don't want to do this over and over again every 2 or 3 years. I want a teacher and a communicator. So he hired young, good communicating defensive coordinators. Chuck Noll, 39 years old. Bill Cowher, 35 years old. Mike Tomlin, 34-year-old. Defensive communicators. 56 years it worked because he knew what he was looking for. So, New York Giants, what are you looking for? What type of leader do you want?
I think it's going to be a sought-after job, Rod. Don't you? I mean, some of those young pass rushers, neighbors, Jackson Dart. You don't think so?
I don't. I think it's one of the worst jobs. I think the New York jobs are 2 of the worst jobs that you could potentially get. You don't have because before you didn't have a quarterback. Brian Daboll actually did a solid job with Jackson Dart, building his confidence and things. But just
wait a minute. Let me stop you here. You didn't have a quarterback. I think the quarterback that was there is being talked about in the MVP discussions now. So
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just a tough situation.
I agree with you.
It's just a bad environment. That's why I look at a guy. If I'm Vance Joseph, if I'm Brian Flores, if I'm one of those young, potential head coaching hires, I'm not thinking about the Giants. You go there, yeah, you want your opportunity to make big money and make a difference. But this is not a good situation for me. I don't think, Coach, I don't know, you know better than me because you've been a head coach for a long time, but is this an ideal situation to go under with those type of owners?
I absolutely agree with you. You asked me who I was looking at as far as a young coach. If I'm a young up-and-coming coach, do I want to go there? Do I want to go to a place where they've had a history of changing coaches every 2 or 3 years, changing direction? And that's not a place I would want to go if I'm just building my career.
And the thing, too, is, Jack, that I'm sitting back like really stunned by, if you fire the head coach, how do you not fire the general manager? How do you not fire the general manager? This is the same guy that traded away Saquon Barkley, but he gets a free pass to stay there. It's just absolutely ridiculous. He should have been gone too.
But how many jobs have talent that you can step in and coach? That's my thing. Is usually when a coach gets fired and you're a up and rising coach and you're looking for a new job, you're going somewhere where they don't have a potential quarterback. They don't have pass rushers. You're kind of building this thing from the ground up. And my point is, yes, I understand all the stuff from, they haven't had success bringing somebody in there, but they have talent. They're going to have players. So whoever steps in from that standpoint, Coach, that doesn't even attract you?
Yeah, and if I'm a young coach, I'm not worried about the talent level because if I get time, I can build the talent. I'm worried about, is the organization going to be behind me? Are we going to stay on the same course, or are we going to switch directions if it doesn't work? When I got to Tampa, they'd had 13 straight losing seasons, and people thought we didn't have talent. Well, Derek Brooks was there. Warren Sapp was there. John Lynch was there. We had some people that were talented. They just had to get going in the right direction. And I just don't think New York has had that because they've changed course so many times in the last 10 years.
Who is the young coach now that you think people are talking about, Coach? Like Ben Johnson last year was the name everybody kept throwing around. Who is that coach right now that you feel like will be the hot name in the hiring cycle?
I don't know, but if one place I would definitely look would be Brian Flores at Minnesota. And then they've got some good offensive coaches. If you hire Brian Flores, you're going to get someone from that Kevin O'Connell tree to run your offense. And I think you're going to be in very, very good shape. He's the number one guy that I would be looking at if I was looking at changing my head coach.
I agree with you, Coach. I thought it was Brian Flores, and then I threw out the name Vance Joseph. I think he should actually get a mention as well as probably the guy behind Brian Flores.
He's doing an outstanding job with that defense. He had some head coaching experience again in Denver. Okay, we'll go a year or two and it doesn't go the way we want. We'll make a change. That happens at times, but those two guys, I think, would definitely bring some experience and some stability to you if you're looking for a new coach.
Okay. All right, we'll leave the Giants where they are. Let's get over to the opponent and the Packers. The question is, why can't the Packers score? If you go back, they put up 40 against Dallas on Sunday Night Football. That game was a tie. Then it was 27, 35. But the last 2 weeks, 13 points against Carolina, 7 points against Philly. Rod, I'll start with you. Why can't they score right now?
Well, I told you, man. I told you before, Jack. I look, and it goes right back to their offensive line. This is an offensive line that used to dominate when we watched them years past. And now they've had some injuries. They've had some guys move. And now this offensive line is just okay. They're not very physical in the run game. Josh Jacobs, he's expressed his frustration to me. He's trying to be patient, waiting on the offense to open up a little bit more, but it's just not the same. And one of those big reasons is just because the offensive line is not the same.
No, we had them against Dallas, and you said on the pregame that night that even though they were scoring points, they were not running the ball well. They needed to do a better job with Josh Jacobs. They haven't opened that up. Now they've got more injuries. Elton Jenkins, I think, now is out. And when I watched the game Monday night, I saw Jordan Love missing some receivers who were open down the field. By missing them, I mean not throwing the ball to them. And I think, Rodney, I think you're correct. I think he's looking at the pass rush now as opposed to looking downfield and taking his time. And somehow they've got to get that going where he has confidence that he can see the field a little bit better.
Yeah, and it almost seems like they don't have that number one receiver since Tucker Kraft, he got hurt. And you guys have heard me say this many a times about Jordan Love. He tries too much to be like Aaron Rodgers, throwing off the back leg, throwing across his body, throwing in different ways, different arm angles. I just don't like that. And then you look at the weapons that he has. Romeo Doubs is a solid player. Christian Watson, he's been stepping up, making some plays. They got a rookie, Matthew Golden. They need some help. They just don't have a lot. Not in the passing game. They can't run the football. Jordan Loves, he's been inconsistent. That defense is playing hard, but that's just what it comes down to, Jack.
And part of it, too, I think, Rod, you mentioned there, the consistency factor. He hasn't had that whole group the whole time. You know, Golden was out last week. Watson's just coming back, but now Kraft is out. He hasn't had that five-man weaponry to go to week in and week out and get that timing down. And I just think their timing is off right now.
Yeah. Let's get down to a battle of a couple heavyweights in the NFC. We have the Rams and we have the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks are just blowing people out of the water right now. It's unbelievable what they're doing every Sunday. You tune back in and they did it again. Coach, I'll start with you. Can Seattle slow down Stafford? 3 straight games now with 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's looking like one of these MVP favorites.
Yes, he's playing great football, but I think Seattle has the weaponry and the formula to slow him down. They don't have to blitz to get pressure, so you don't have to play Puka Nacua one-on-one. You don't have to put your secondary in jeopardy. You can rush 4 guys, defend with 7. You can handle those screens and rally to them. You don't have to put your corners in man-to-man coverage. So I think it's going to be a game of can they control Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. And if they do that with that back 7, I think Seattle will win. But I agree with you, Jack. I think whoever wins this game, in my mind, right now is the favorite in the NFC.
Yeah. Coach, I agree with you 100%. We got a chance to see Seattle in that front 4 and just talk about how good they are. And also we got a chance to see Ernest Jones and what he means to that defense. When he got hurt. It's just not the same defense. You get him back. You get Devon Witherspoon back in your secondary. Now you got a chance, but I'm really excited to see Jackson Smith-Njigba and Rashid Shaheed play together, just really open up this offense. And I think that's going to really open up things in the run game, Coach, because of so much speed at the wide receiver position. You got to keep those safeties back.
Seattle's offense is blowing the doors off of people early, and I agree with what you said when we had them. If you don't find a way to put pressure on Sam Darnold and get him off his spot and get him frustrated, it's going to be a long night for you. The Rams have a chance, and my question is, can they rush their 4 guys and put that pressure on Darnold? That, to me, the front 4s on both sides are going to win this game.
This is going to be a fascinating matchup. I'm excited to watch this one. All right, the Bucs and the Bills. These are 2 teams that are kind of licking their wounds at this point. The Bucs, they just lost to New England 28-23 in Tampa. The Bills, they beat Kansas City in Week 9, and that was the high of all highs for them. Now, we know they've done it in the regular season, not the postseason, but they back it up by losing to Miami 30-13. So which of those 2 was more disappointing looking at those 2 losses from what we consider to be good teams, Coach?
Oh, I think the Buffalo loss was more disappointing for sure. I live here in Tampa, and everybody's down. That was a game that they felt was winnable. They had some chances against New England, didn't get it done. This week, though, I think the key from the Bucs standpoint, if you're going to play Buffalo, you've got to attack them running the ball downhill. And Tampa has had some injuries in their offensive line. Bucky Irving has been out for the last 4 or 5 weeks. They don't have the mentality right now that they can go in and win a game running the ball. And to me, that's what you need against Buffalo. And if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm telling my guys, I know we don't have Bucky Irving, but we are going to still pound the ball at these guys, and we're going to win up front. Offensive line, you got to do a good job that way. And then I think they've got a shot to win it.
Yeah, for me, Coach, I'm looking at the Bucs defensively, and just last week against the New England Patriots, just too many big plays down the field. They gave up a 69-yard TD run, a 54-yard passing TD, 72-yard play, just too many big plays. But also, I was a little surprised. I thought they would have more success against the Patriots offensive line. They only had 1 sack. He blitzed a lot, and they just could not have that consistent pressure on Drake May. And that's what it comes down to. When Todd Bowles is blitzing, he's the best in the business at it. He has to get home. And when they're successful, that defense, they create turnovers and give their offense a lot of opportunities. So that's one of the things that I'm looking for.
Yeah, and that is going to be a key to the game. Todd is going to come with some different blitzes. Will Buffalo handle it? Will Josh Allen get surprised into a turnover? That's got to be the Bucs' secret sauce if they're going to win this game.
And will the Bills just be patient enough, Coach, to run the football? I mean, if it doesn't work a few times with James Cook, continue to give him the football, because at any point in time, you know he can make a big play.
Yep, absolutely. And the other side is true for the Bucs too. You know, Miami is not a team you think of that just is a powerhouse running team. And they took Devon Achane and just said, you know what, we're going to run the ball and we're going to make it work. And the teams that have done that against Buffalo have had some success. But if you think you're going to beat Buffalo and let their pass rusher just go and let that speed run around the field, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, one of the things the Buffalo Bills defense of linebackers struggled with was those Dolphins offensive linemen getting on top of them. You know, because once you get on top of those small linebackers, they're getting pushed back 3 or 4 yards, and all of a sudden the running back's not getting touched to 8, 9, 10 yards down the field. And that's something else that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah, Miami's, it's an interesting thing because New York, they fire the coach, and Dayball, they keep the GM. Miami, they fire the GM, they keep the coach. Coach Dungy, I mean, what does that say to you? How do you take that?
I take it as you have organizations that maybe aren't sure what they're doing. I don't know why you would fire the GM in Miami. It's not like you have bad players. You put in a system, and you got players for that system, and it wasn't working. I don't know that you blame the GM for that. I just don't understand it. But you know, we'll see. I don't like in-season moves. I think it's a sign of panic, and that usually is not a great thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's get down to the Chiefs. This is the team that the Bills did beat in week number 9. So now the Chiefs have the Broncos. The AFC West is an interesting division. We just saw the Chargers get the win against the Steelers. So 8-2 is Denver. Chargers are 7-3. The Chiefs are 5-4. So this becomes a pivotal game if the Chiefs want to keep the pace in the division. Rodney, how do you see the West, and how do you see this matchup, Chiefs-Broncos?
I see the Chiefs as this is a must-win for those guys. And, you know, when I look at Denver, the things that gets me excited is obviously their defense and the front four. Zach Allen, he's played extremely well. You got Bonito and Cooper and those guys. But see Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, this defense is going to be what carries this team. You look at offensively, they've been up and down, a little inconsistent with the second-year quarterback. But Denver's going to have to rely on that defense. And that defense is good enough to slow down the Chiefs.
Yes, they are, and it's going to be interesting to me. I'm going to make a prediction. The team that wins this game is going to win the AFC. I don't see any consistency in the other places. New England is playing the most consistent football of anybody in the AFC right now. But I think if the Chiefs win, that's going to send a message. They'll have a chance to get back into things. The Chargers, a little bit banged up. But if Denver wins and goes to 9-2 and gets a 3-game lead on the Chiefs, then I think Denver wins the division. Be ready to get that home field advantage. And then if you've beaten the Chiefs and you have the bye and you have people coming into Denver, into that altitude, and just with Sean Payton, they would be the favorites to me to win it. I'm a little concerned about Denver's offense right now. They have not been consistent. They haven't been efficient. Bo Nix gives them big plays and scrambling around. But Andy Reid coming off a bye, getting that offense back together, I think it's going to be a big game. And I'm not sure who's going to win, but whoever wins it is going to be my check mark for AFC champions.
I'm picking the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, I mean, must win situations like this. They always step up. I got the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah, we saw them against Detroit, and you know, they felt like that was a must win, and they played their best game of the year. I think they'll have that same situation. Andy Reid, notoriously good off a bye. They've got everything in place to play really well.
Coach, you think he comes off this bye and commits to running the football to try to establish some type of identity?
If they've looked at these games, these first 9 games, that's what they should see. Their offensive line is patchwork a little bit right now, but they're going to get Josh Simmons back. I think if they come out and say, you know what has been our formula in the past, we need to get back to that. If they do, they've got a chance. And you should want to run the ball against Denver. If you drop back 50 times against these guys, you're just inviting chaos.
Yeah, they got 3 legitimate pass rushers that are absolutely outstanding, Pro Bowl, all pro caliber type guys, and you don't want to drop back 40 times against this defense, Jack.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some runs, and we're going to see a bunch of screens. Kansas City has always been good in the screen game. That's a way to negate that fierce pass rush as well.
And also take a few shots down the field. You know, those guys are going to be anticipating the ball coming out quick, hit them with a double move and take a few shots to send a signal and let them know, hey, we're going to be aggressive. We know you guys got pass rushes. We know that you got a good secondary, but we're still attacking you.
And Coach, you didn't just say win the AFC West. You said win the AFC. The Chiefs at 5-4 right now. That may be a surprise to some people that they're still a team that could go win the AFC to you at this point. What makes you say that they can get all the way there?
I look at the AFC South, and it's got Indianapolis. I think Indy still has some issues on defense. I look at the North, and we're saying, well, we don't believe in Pittsburgh. Baltimore, can they continue to come and get off that bad start? Buffalo's been up and down in the East. I just don't see any consistent football anyplace else. And I think the West is the toughest division, and whoever comes out of the West, to me, is going to be the most game ready for the playoffs.
I don't know, Coach, because I'm sitting there thinking about the AFC and start thinking about the best teams that I've watched, and the Patriots are right there on that list.
They are.
With the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs will probably be 4 or 5 on that list. I'm talking about in terms of the best teams. I like the Patriots still up there. I think people are still overlooking them.
Yeah, I agree with you. To me, they're playing the most consistent of anybody in the AFC. Can they keep it going and continue to grow? And how will they be in that first round of the playoffs? We'll see. But I love where they are. And I think they're going to win the East. I do. I don't think Buffalo's playing consistent enough.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And as you guys said, all of the most desperate moments of the season for the Chiefs is when we've seen their best performances. Even going back to the Giants game when they were 0-2, trying to avoid an 0-3 start. So if KC loses 4 games back, that's pretty far back in the West. If they win just 2 games back, right in it, and as you say, can still go get that 1 seed too. Move it on down. Lions and Eagles. Sunday Night Football this week, week 11. A.J. Brown still with some comments that he's unhappy. It seems like every other week we're kind of having this conversation, sometimes after wins, sometimes after losses. Rod, A.J.'s unhappy. Eagles are 7-2. What's your take?
Yeah, I just don't know why it's so hard to get him the football. I mean, I sit back and I go back and I watch the Rams play, and even in the first drive, you see Sean McVay. He has 2 number 1 receivers with Puka and Devontae Adams. He's getting those guys the ball. He's throwing them quick outs and slants and hitch passes and things like that. And I played with Tom Brady and Randy Moss that year in 2007 when they put up all those records. And to me, it's up to the quarterback. Tom would come to the line of scrimmage. He would see Randy out there one-on-one, and he would get Randy the ball, a quick hitch, a slant, a bomb. He would change the entire play. And for me, it comes down to Jalen Hurts. He has to get more involved when it comes to that. He has to look out there and see that it's A.J. Brown against a nobody, and he has to get him the football. And I don't know why that's so hard for Jalen Hurts to do or Nick Sirianni to see that. I would be upset too if I were A.J. Brown when I got a bum in front of me and they're not throwing me the football. Throw him the football. It'll open up things in the offense, and then Saquon Barkley will probably have a little bit more success, Coach.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like where Philadelphia is in their system and the design. It's not being executed right now because it should be very, very easy. Okay, you got a dynamic running back, you've got two great receivers, and you've got a big-time tight end. What is the defense going to do? What are they taking away? And whatever they take away, okay, we go the other way. And as a coach, you say to your guys, hey, it might not be your week this week because they're trying to take you away. But at some point, it's going to be your week, so just be patient. We had that situation. We had Ezra and James, Dallas Clark, Reggie Wayne, and Marvin Harrison. Pick your poison. And Peyton Manning's going to just sit there. Okay, you want to double the wide receivers? I'll throw the ball to the tight end. You want to gang up on the wide receivers and play nickel defense? I'll run the ball. So that you have the answers. Philly's got the answers. But when people say, I'm going to single A.J. Brown, I'm going to single Devontae Smith, and I'm going to gang up on Saquon Barkley, you should have a field day throwing the ball, and they really haven't so far.
And it almost seems like Jalen Hurts, he knows that, A.J. Brown wants the ball, and it's like, okay, he's just going about his business. I'm not going to allow that to distract us. It doesn't even seem like he's addressing the fact that A.J. Brown wants the ball. If I'm the quarterback and I know I have a stud like him at wide receiver, I'm feeding him the ball as much as I possibly can. I'm giving him hand signals. If I see like this week, they're going to have small cornerbacks on him. None of those guys can stick A.J. Brown. He should have anywhere from 7 to 10 targets this game coming up on Sunday night, without question, because nobody on that defense can defend him. But once again, it comes down to the head coach and it comes down to the quarterback feeding him the football, and they just haven't been able to do it.
Well, you are so right. I can't wait to see how this plays out because we know we've talked to Dan Campbell. We've seen Detroit. They play man coverage. That's what they thrive in. They've got some injuries in the secondary. So you're going to play man coverage with some backup guys in the lineup or some guys that aren't full speed. It shouldn't be that hard.
Coach, you know what the Lions are going to do. They're going to play that man coverage, walk that safety up in Brian Branch, and have that extra guy in the box. And now AJ, it's sickening watching it to have that level of talent at wide receiver and you don't even utilize it. It's like they have an air about themselves, an arrogance that, hey, we're just going to do what we do. We're not going to change anything. We're not going to make any special concessions. That's what you do. You make special concessions. You make adjustments. That's what you do as an offensive coordinator or as a quarterback. And I just don't know what's going on out in Philly, bro.
Well, we will see what happens because I know Dan Campbell is going to go in and say, we're not going to let Saquon Barkley beat us. We're not going to let them run the ball. I'm going to put it in Jalen Hurts' hands and make him beat us. And we'll see what they do. But you're right. This should be a game where those wide receivers, they have opportunities. Now, will they come through? We'll see. But they're going to have opportunities.
Coach, stylistically, schematically, does Philly, this offense remind you of anything? Break down this offense. We hear people say it's too simple. It's not. Break down this offense for us.
I love it because it reminds. That's what we did in Indianapolis. Okay, we lined up. We came out. We didn't even huddle. We just lined up. And Peyton looked at the defense. What are you in? Are you trying to stop the run? Okay, I'm going to throw. I've got two great wide receivers. I'm going to hit one of them with the ball. Now you play your secondary deep, play your safeties deep. I'm going to hand the ball to Edgerrin James or Joseph Adai. It's not that hard. We would go to the line of scrimmage with 3 plays, a run to the right, run to the left, and a pass. And Peyton would just decide what we're going to do based on the defense. And some days, Rodney remembers this very well. We opened up the year in 2004, and we're playing them, and we went on a drive right down the field. We were in the same formation. They stayed in the same defense. Took away our wide receivers. We ran 14 belly 8 times in a row. Went down the field. Edgerrin James fumbled, but that was the defense they showed us. It was run the ball. And they said, they won't be patient enough to take 4 or 5 yards, and we did the whole way down. They stopped us in the red zone. But that was our philosophy, and that's Philadelphia to me. And they've got enough weapons where it should be great because you've got people that can make plays at all of those skill positions.
Yeah, Coach, Philly's offense is boring, just like your offense was. And the biggest difference was it was Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning was so great at reading the safeties and the coverage. And like you talked about, us keeping the safeties back all day, he's running. And that's the difference. As soon as we walk that safety and all of a sudden it's a play action pass to Marvin Harrison. And that's the difference between, say, a Jalen Hurts and a Peyton Manning, the control at the line of scrimmage, anticipating those safeties and making sure that they're in the right call. And that's what Peyton did better than anybody.
But Jack, I don't believe it's too simple. I don't think the problem is the philosophy. That philosophy took him to the Super Bowl last year. It's the execution. For some reason, it's not being executed this year. Rodney hit on their offensive line, maybe not being as dominant, but still, there's something a little bit off in their execution there.
What would you think it is, Coach? I know, like, you would know this better than anybody probably on earth. I mean, is it mostly the quarterback getting you to the right thing? Is it the offensive coordinator telling him to get the ball to? I mean,
no, it's the quarterback. The quarterback has the final say at the line of scrimmage. A lot of these are RPOs. He can hand the ball off, or he can throw that one-on-one slant that Rodney's talking about. And what do you decide to do? You've got to make the good decisions, and you got to get it to your playmakers.
Guys, I noticed one thing too, and so the other day I'm watching a game and they talk about Jalen Hurts and Michael Jordan's at the game and he's part of this. I guess Jalen Hurts is part of the Jordan brand. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, is Jalen Hurts trying to be like Michael Jordan almost to the point where he doesn't allow distractions on his team to alter what he wants to do? He's not going to allow the wide receiver being upset to force him to throw the ball to him. It just seems like he's in that Jordan mode where he's not going to allow anything to affect him, mentally or emotionally. And I think that's something that's real because you see Jalen Hurts, he's just a different guy. He kind of has those mannerisms like Jordan. He kind of has those responses like Jordan. But when I have a guy like A.J. Brown at the end of the day, A.J. Brown's going to help us win another Super Bowl. Get him the football, keep him happy, and then just pay attention to what you're doing. If you got Emmy Robinson, or one of those guys, out there, man, there's no way those guys can stick A.J. Brown. Just get him the football and let him work.
It's an interesting take that you have, though, because Jordan was always tough on his teammates. I mean, he had a different rapport with his teammates, but he was Michael Jordan. I mean, he was the best player in the world by a mile, right? And so he had some leeway with some of that stuff. And also football, a very different style of team game than basketball is to me. Let's flip to the other side. Campbell, play calling. He's got the glasses on, Coach. He took it over. Little unusual. He's not a play calling type. I mean, how did you take this?
Very unusual, and it surprised me because when I was in there, we had them before the Kansas City game. I went to Detroit, and everyone in that building said, Dan Campbell is in charge. Dan's the guy. Everything revolves around him. And then he's a little bit unhappy with how the games are going, especially their big games. They play Kansas City. They don't run the ball well. They don't dominate on offense. They play Minnesota. They only have 18, 20 runs dialed up. And so now he takes over the play calling because he wants the run game to come. He wants to dominate it. I'm just saying, okay, Dan, why don't you just say that's what I want? Tell your offensive coordinator this is what we have to do. But he wants to make sure it's going to happen that way. And I think he did it leading up to this game. He wasn't concerned about the Washington game. He wanted to lead up to this one and say, we are going to have this mentality when we go into Philadelphia, Rod.
Hey, Coach, when you met with Dan Campbell, you said that he wanted to dominate the line of scrimmage, right? He wanted to dominate the line of scrimmage.
His exact words were, in my opinion, everything starts with the running game. That's exactly what he said.
And that's the difference, because when you watch the Lions, you can say, well, yeah, they run the ball, but they're not a running team. I think he wants to turn them into the mindset of a running team, a very physical team that they had last year. Now, they've had some issues on the offensive line. Some guys retired, guys got injured, moving some guys around. And they're still a good offensive line. They're just not on the level that they were last year. But I like the fact that Dan got aggressive and said, hey, I'm going to take over the play calling. I think, Jack, you pointed out to me when Jameis Williams scored last week, he pointed toward the sideline at his coach. He was excited about scoring. He was excited about being involved. So I think all those things are good things. And hey, and Dan came out and was very classy about it. Hey, he said, hey, it's a collaborative effort. It's not, I'm taking input for everybody. And that's what I love. And that's what I love about Dan Campbell is the fact that he's saying, look, we have our Super Bowl window. We have an opportunity to win and make some noise. And I'm not going to allow this offensive coordinator who's not calling the game the way I wanted to call it or I visualize it being called, and he takes over. So I love what he's done, Coach, and I think it's going to continue to help him.
Yeah. And to your point, we're talking about Philadelphia and who's getting the ball or whatever. The complaint in Detroit was we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, this dynamic guy. He got 9 touches in the Minnesota game. Jameson Williams got 2 or 3 targets. Well, Dan Campbell calls the plays. All of a sudden, those 2 guys have big games because he made sure that the play call said, we're going to get these 2 guys the ball.
Yeah, I think if I remember the stat sheet right, it was like Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, and David Montgomery, 15 carries. And yeah, it was basically pretty even.
Yeah, but, the week before, Gibbs did not carry the ball enough, and Jameson Williams was targeted hardly at all. And so you got these 2 dynamic players, and Dan Campbell just said, some way, somehow, we've got to get the ball to him, and I'm going to make sure, especially early in the game, that they get the ball.
Yeah, and sometimes just watching them before Dan was calling the plays, you sit back and you say, man, why are they doing all this trickery stuff? They're always trying to out-trick somebody or fool somebody as opposed to just knocking somebody block off and running the ball, being physical downhill.
Yep. So Coach, you would have just walk me through the actual process. You would just press the button. You have a button on your little headset.
Yeah.
Offense.
Flip over to the offensive side. Yeah.
You jump to the offense. So then you're just talking to the offensive staff, right? And you would have said what?
I would have said, hey, in the next series, I don't care what you call, but Gibbs has to get the ball in 3 or 4 runs, and we got to throw past to Jameson. Call what you feel like calling.
And to you, that accomplishes the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Coach, would you use that same tone?
Yeah, very much so.
Probably would. Okay.
Very much so.
Hey, Jack, and that's his nice guy tone. You better not let him yell at you.
No, it's not a hard game. Just say, hey, here's what I want, guys, and then expect it to happen.
Yeah. Wow. So there's 2 different ways to get that done. Campbell, I mean, to build the whole play sheet and to be able to call it, to me, he had to have done some prior homework and preparation, a lot of it, in preparation to put the glasses on and do this thing.
Well, as the head coach, you're always involved in that, and you're involved in the preparation. Now, when I was the head coach, Jim Caldwell and Tom Moore used to sit in with Peyton. What do you like in these situations? What's your favorite thing we've done this week? I didn't know all that as the head coach. I knew what was on the overall play list. And that's where you have to do a little deeper dive when you're calling the plays. What is the quarterback comfortable with? What is he like? But as far as what you're going to put in, I think Dan had been on that the whole time, and maybe that was his problem. I'm seeing what's on the play sheet, but I'm not liking exactly what's being called in the game.
I like it. All right. Well, I can't wait to see Coach Campbell with the glasses on in person. We're going to see A.J. Brown, see if they can make him happy on Sunday Night Football. Fellas, thank you so much. We are off to Philly. It's going to be a massive game.
It is.
NFC could have long-term repercussions. Cannot wait to see both of you there. Sunday Night Football, Week 11. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.